Greetings fellow pagan pals, we're making our very own prayer flag which starts at your computer. I'm using Microsoft Word to lay out my design. The size of your design depends on the size of your fabric. I'm using 5x5 fabric squares, but it'll be trimmed down and I need room for ink errors because I know my printer is very finicky, so I'm making my paper size 4 1/4 all the way around, so I can have some wiggle room. Also, I want to have a border to frame the words, so I'm adding that as well, setting it to box and then 3 points. Once you have the size you want, just duplicate the page as many times as you need by selecting Insert, then Blank Page. I'm going to need 5 pages for my flags. Now you're ready to add words and pictures, and this is just for your own individual taste. I used a variety of symbols and excerpts and definitely wanted to use a pentacle to represent the core of my spirituality. Also with my images, I just right-clicked and set my images to wrap text tight to adjust how my images and words interact with each other. Check the list below to see all the links I used. I found this website called Sacred Texts, and it's just loaded with an enormous archive of myths and legends and religious documents that have been translated. It's just massive, so take your time and enjoy exploring and learning. Print out some trial prints on paper to make adjustments. I'm using a pre-cut fabric bundle that I got from JoAnn Fabrics. They come in a variety of shades. Be sure to use images that are smaller than your fabric pieces because there will be a lot of trimming. Once you've selected your colors and have all your pieces lined up, it's time to prepare them for the printer. Right now the fabric is all floppy and we need to stiffen it up. To do this, we'll use freezer paper, which will temporarily be adhered to the fabric so we can feed it into the printer easily. The gloss side of the paper will face the fabric, and we'll use the matte side to draw our template. Cut out a manageable piece to start with and then lay your fabric on top of the matte side. Using a ruler and pencil, trace around the fabric. Use a quilting ruler if you have one. Now you want the freezer paper slightly smaller than your fabric so it will adhere only to your fabric and not anything else surrounding it. So measure out a smaller square, about a 1/16 of an inch smaller within your existing square. Trace and cut it out, and now you have a template for as many pieces of freezer paper as you need. Once you have your pieces all cut out, it's time to adhere them to your fabric. Set your iron to no steam, adjust it to the proper fabric setting. I've set mine to cotton. I have my fabric on my ironing board, and I'm going to take the gloss side of my freezer paper and lay it down onto my fabric so that the matte side is facing me, and I'm going to center it. Then just grab your iron and press it over the entire paper until it sticks, pressing from the center outwards. This doesn't take more than 10 seconds or so. It's really quick. When you're done, trim your edges with a rotary cutter or a pair of very sharp scissors. You want to get rid of any frays and uneven edges to reduce the risk of paper jams, and if you have a rotating mat, break it out because it's going to make trimming these down a lot faster. One last press, this time with the fabric facing upwards to get your pieces nice and flat, and it's time to bring them to the printer. Be sure to place your fabric pieces in your printer the correct way so that you print onto the fabric and not the paper, and stack a couple pieces in there so it's easy for your printer to pick up the fabric. In your printer settings, be sure to select the page you want to print, set to photo paper, and be sure that the paper size is correct, and then just print. Now, as I predicted, my printer put up a little bit of a hissy fit and some ink smudged on the sides, but really it's no big deal. I just trimmed them down. Be sure to leave enough space for you to sew them down. After that, just peel the paper from the fabric. There isn't any sticky residue or anything. It's actually a pretty cool trick. At this point, if you wanted to weatherproof your flags, just soak them in a bath of vinegar for about 10 to 15 minutes and then just let it air dry. For the ribbon, I chose a gray ribbon with a little pop of yellow. I thought that was kind of cute. I'm leaving a lack of about 10 inches of ribbon, and that's where I am going to be setting my fabric square down. No need to pin it. I'm just running a straight stitch right outside my border. Just be sure to back stitch at the beginning and end of each side of your flags before raising your presser foot and needle and jumping to the next flag. I left 1/4 inch in between each piece before laying my next flag down and trimmed the extra threads where I made my jumps with a seam ripper. Lastly, I just trimmed the other side of my ribbon to 10 inches as well, and you're done, and I love it. These fabric pieces can be used to make your prayer flags or any patchwork. You can change the color of the fabrics to go with the season and choose symbols and passages that you feel connected to. The choice is yours. Subscribe now, become a Pagan Pal, like up this video, and I'll see you next time for another episode of My Pagan Pal Crafts and Such. Bye!